Okay. Hi, I'm Kai Yinxie. I'm student from UNSW. Today, I would like to interview you. Another person is one of my group member. He
Uh-huh.
will join to this interview. And could you introduce yourself?
Okay, no problem. Hi, I'm Mike, a manager at an AI computing company. Thanks for your interview, by the way. I can't disclose the company's name for some reasons, but I'm happy to talk about my work at the AI industry.
Yep. And first question, I want to ask you what inspired you to take up a position of manager or leader?
Well, I saw too many managers stuck in meetings and unclear priorities. They needed someone to clear the path so they could focus on building great chips that gave me more satisfaction than writing code myself. And I noticed that when everyone on the team is in a good state, the products came out more stronger. Once I helped a junior engineer get his head straight, and he was fired up for 2 weeks straight. That is when I knew I wanted to move into management for real.
Okay. And next one. Can you describe a time when your team faced a simple problem? How did you involve your team member in finding a solution?
Okay, no problem. We had a small bug in a driver update. I just didn't know fix it myself. I don't even fix it myself. Instead, I asked a few junior engineers to each write a one-line fix. We picked the cleanest one, and the person who suggested made the fix. He finished in half an hour, just half an hour, and even added comments in the log. Later, when a similar issue came up, he stepped up again. So letting go of small things builds ownership. Since then, whenever the problem is low risk, I just hand it over to them first, even if their solution isn't perfect. But it is still better than me just giving the answer.
Okay, thank you for your response. Perfect. Mm, can you share an example of a harder decision where different team members had different opinion? And what were the steps you took?
Okay, we argued about when to launch a new GPU. Sales wanted earlier, but engineers wanted more testing. I asked both sides to list their risks and benefits, then separated what we could compromise on from what we couldn't. I decided to delay by 2 weeks, but I prepared a customer communication plan and a test report for the sales team. Once everyone understood why, they accepted. Disagreements ain't scary. What's scary is not putting the concerns on the table. After that, my team started coming to me earlier when they disagree because they knew I wouldn't just shut down one side.
Great. I I know your company's situation. And next one, in a crisis, how honest were you with your team about what you don't know? And has it ever backfired?
A key waiver supplier had a breakdown, and I didn't know when they'd fix it. I told my team, I know we have enough inventory for a quarter, and I'm looking for a backup vendors, but I'm not sure when this will be resolved. People got nervous at first. So they immediately started checking stock and looking for alternatives. Honesty didn't hurt. It made us more united. I've learned that in a crisis, the hardest part isn't not having the answer. It is pretending you do. After that, the team felt safer telling me about unclear issues because they knew I wouldn't blame them for asking.
Okay, thank you for your response. Um, if you had to strip leadership down to one thing you do differently now than you did 5 years ago, something that you have changed your mind about, not just improve, what would it be? And what made you change?
Well, 5 years ago, I thought I had to be the most technically knowledgeable person in the room. Now I know that technology moves too fast. No one can know everything. My new job is to ask what could go wrong and let the team verify those assumptions. Trusting the team is more important than anything, I believe. This change came from a painful lesson. We missed a new architecture opportunity because we relied too much on our own approach. Since then, I have become more comfortable handing over technical decisions to the team and focusing on removing roadblocks for them.
Okay, nice change. Manager, are your decisions usually driven by profit, or do you find yourself having to balance those against a sustainability angle? When the balancing act come up, how do you actually move forward?
Of course, profit is our lifeline, but long-term trust matters more. When choosing a packaging process, I'd rather pay more for a power-efficient design because customers care more about power consumptions these days. And it also fixes ESG trends. Less profit now, but more stability later. That's not just idealism, it is a calculated choice. One time we choose the more expensive option, and the customer actually increased their order because they saw we are thinking about their long-term costs.
Okay. Mm, where have you had changed how you lead because of AI or new technology? Not just what tool your team use, but how you actually make the decision or manage people differently now?
Okay. Before, I made decisions mostly on gut feelings, just gut feelings. Now, I asked the team to run simulations first, and then I look at the results. I also don't measure people by how many hours they work. I look at whether they question the model's output. I have a weekly meeting called What Did the Model Miss? To keep everyone critical and humble. AI isn't replacing our judgment. It forces us to think more clearly. Now, I'm also more willing to say, I'm not sure, because the model gives probabilities, but real decisions still came from human discussions. One straight, one insight for leaders in the 2026 and beyond, leadership isn't about knowing all the technical details. It is about making everyone comfortable saying, I'm not sure, and then figuring it out together. Technology changes too fast, so the only certainty is a team that's willing to face uncertainty together. As long as people keep asking each other, what do you think? I believe most problems become much easier.
Mm, you you must be a great manager. And I want to ask you for the last question to be a conclusion. Mm, Bringing together everything you have shared, if you had to distill it into a single insight for leader in 2026 and beyond, what would it be?
I think simple is the most important one. You need to know that you need to put the simple ideas out, and you need to lead your team in a simple way. So every employees and every members of your team will know what you are dealing with and what the problems are meeting, because you speak in a simple way and do in a simple way, so they can understand you, fully understand you, so they can move in smoothly.
Thank you for your response. And our interview is over. Thank you for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.